you're right that we will probably never, at least the thing we're probably never going to do is put children in harm's way in State of Decay. Just because, yes, that is a traditional part of sort of zombie storytelling, is the threat to children, the potential for children to become zombies. That's often used as just a really sort of quick way to underscore the horror of this world. But in a game where you know, like, this isn't a movie or a TV show. This is a game where you feel responsible for what happens. And it just seems like delving into that kind of experience just feels like it's, I don't know. Part of it is the fact that you would feel responsible, which I think would give it a different kind of impact. But another part of it is the fact that, you know, it's very difficult to achieve, like, true emotional depth in a video game. There are some video games that are good at it, but usually you're at least somewhat disconnected from the action. And so, you know, in a game where you can really sort of, like, frame the audience's emotional experience and really sort of, like, treat something like the death of a child as with the gravity and the seriousness that it deserves, you know, that's a setting where you can, you know, explore that sort of thing. But in a video game where a lot of the time you're just, you know, jumping around, having fun, you know, and a lot of the tone of the experience is very up to the player and varies widely. It doesn't really have, and you don't really, you know, as a developer, you don't have a lot of authorial control over what the experience is going to be like. In a setting like that, it's hard to take something like child death and make it work, right? It's hard to, you know, a lot of the time, what you'd end up doing is creating experiences where it feels like the tone is off, the tone is wrong, and you did it with a subject matter that is very emotionally impactful for people and matters a lot, you know? It's a little bit like that press X to pay respects thing that Call of Duty got made fun of for, which, you know, I think they didn't anticipate the reaction because they're like, yeah, you just, you know, press X to participate in the cutscene. But they didn't really realize, and I think they were imagining, oh, this is going to be a really powerful cutscene, and people are going to be really invested in it, really involved. And I think a lot of people probably were when they played it. But just as many people are just screwing around when they're playing a video game. And if you aren't emotionally invested in what's going on, then the sort of the artifice of a video game undercuts everything and makes and kind of destroys the emotional impact a lot of the time. And so that's why it was risible to a lot of people in the audience and to critics and things, even though I'm sure that the development team didn't see anything wrong with it at all. So we're trying to be aware of that problem, that it's hard to give something the emotional weight that it really deserves in a video game. And I think, I doubt we'll ever, like, put children in harm's way in our game. Now, that doesn't mean we'll never depict children. I could imagine somewhere in the future of the franchise, if we ever have settings where there is no danger, you know, it's like, and I don't know, there's lots of different ways we could justify having a setting like that. But if we had a setting where there was no danger, where zombies don't come here, then we could put children in a place like that. But, you know, we'd have to rig and animate children, and we'd probably need to limit what they're capable of doing because that's very expensive. And if they're not going to be participating in the normal game, then like, you know, it would be a difficult expense to justify. But yeah, I could see them joining the franchise at some point, but just, it would have to be under very, very special circumstances.